Hey guys, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. If you're new here, my name is Lauren and I am a full-time kindergarten teacher who flips furniture on the side to earn a profit that I put straight toward my student loan debt. Today, I'm going to be flipping this small blonde solid wood dresser. And I actually picked this up off of Facebook Marketplace during another furniture flip. The set that I flipped last week, you can check that video out after you're done with this one if you have not already. He happened to have this dresser and was like, are you interested in this too? And of course I said yes, because it's in great condition and it's a smaller dresser. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I've got some ideas. I got this piece for $44, which is not too bad considering the shape that it's in, but I think I'll be able to make a pretty good profit. Let's get started. Our first step is to remove the hardware as always, so let's get to that. I picked up this nifty little cart from TJ Maxx the other day, so hopefully I can keep all of my supplies on this cart and kind of wheel it around wherever I go. Hopefully that'll keep me a little bit more organized and less messy. I haven't decided if I'm going to be using this hardware over again or if I'm going to be replacing it with some different hardware. The color will definitely change if I do end up using this. This bottom drawer is actually one big drawer, not four, so it's pretty good size down here for some storage. Oh no, I might already have to be changing my plans because there are so many holes here. Dang, because I was planning on actually sanding this down to raw wood, but if I did that, then I can't use wood filler unless I just kept this same hardware. That would actually cover the holes, so I could still use the raw wood and I would just paint these gold. Now I've got to do some deciding. All right, hardware is off, so it's cleaning time. I'm going to be using this Sunnyside Cleaner TSP substitute that I picked up from Menards, and we're going to give it a nice wash. Why do we clean? We clean to get all of the dirt and grime and dust off of the piece of furniture, so that the paint can better adhere to the furniture instead of adhering to the dirt. This piece was in a storage unit, so it's in actually pretty good shape and not too dirty, but I'm still getting lots of dust and dirt off. Okay, and now that all of the dust is all gone, we need to rinse off everything to get the cleaner off of the piece. So I'm going to use my clean water. As you can see, that was quite dirty there, but I'm going to use my clean water now to just rinse everything. Okay, next step is to sand. Alrighty, so the plan, like I said, is to sand these down to the bare wood. So I'm gonna get to sanding using an 80 grit sandpaper, and then I'm gonna be painting the rest of the dresser. So I'm gonna just do a scuff sand with 120 grit. I love using this mask. I got it off Amazon. I actually hate using masks, but this is very compact and it's not those big giant things, but it still has filters inside. So I'll link that down below in the description if you're interested. Highly recommend it. Alrighty, we are all the way down to the raw wood with the 80 grit sandpaper. So I am now going to grab some 120 grit sandpaper, go over this real fast just to smooth it out one more step, and then I'll sand down in a scuff sand with the 120 grit on the rest of the dresser. All right, sanding is complete. So I did a scuff sand on the rest of the dresser because it was quite glossy and I wanted my paint to adhere to the furniture, and it's really difficult to get it to adhere nicely when it's so glossy. So you want to just scuff it up and make it to more of a rough texture. I used 120 grit because I didn't want to make any indentions into the wood or any marks or divots. So that's kind of the reason that I did the sanding. Now I'm just going to take a microfiber cloth and wipe back all of the dust. I think I'm gonna need to go over this part again right here. Some of the veneer is just kind of pretty rough, so I'm gonna smooth that out. All right, that's better. We especially want the top to be smooth, so I needed to get that out. Okay, that's all cleaned off, and so I actually don't need to use any primer with this dresser because I did a scuff sand and it's a light color, and the color that I'm going to be doing is actually white, but since it's a light color wood, I'm not really afraid of any of it popping through. So next thing is to put some paint on it. For paint today, I'm going to be using the Chippy Barnes Amulet Furniture and Decor paint, which I've used a little bit before. And so it's not a chalk paint, it's actually a ceramic based paint. So it really stays on the surface level of the furniture. I'm going to be using the color Magnolia, which is a white color. So let's pop this open and start painting. For the brush, I am going to be using a zebra brush. It's the 2-inch angled brush and it has a longer handle, so I'm excited. I haven't used this particular brush yet, but I just love the zebra brushes because they're just so soft and so easy to work with, smooth, all of the above. Looks like I will need a second coat, which I figured already. Normally with white, you need at least 2 coats. first coat is all finished up, and actually I can already tell there are a couple of places that I'm going to need to use some primer on, and those are the places where I kind of sanded a little bit below that varnish because the wood is now kind of popping through the wood color. You can kind of tell here, and then there's a few spots on the sides as well. So I will just go grab some primer here in a second once this coat dries, and I will cover those up, and then hopefully that will get rid of the bleed through. All right, I'm gonna be using the Kills primer to cover up these spots before I move on to the second coat. So I'm not gonna do everywhere, I'm just gonna focus on the spots where the wood color is bleeding through the white. Okay, so we'll let that primer dry and then we'll move to coat number 2. All right, I am going to take a quick sanding block over where I put the primer, and then we'll be ready for coat number 2. I put my brush in a little plastic baggie so that it can keep wet and I don't have to wash it in between coats. All right, the second coat is all finished up on this white. So my next step is to let this dry and figure out the hardware situation. Okay, so I'm actually gonna just be reusing this older hardware. And it's not old, but the reason I'm gonna need to use it is simply to cover those spots that they had drilled holes in. And since I wanted to keep it the raw wood, I'm just gonna have to continue with this hardware because these outside pieces actually cover those holes. So it'll look as if the holes are not there. And then I'm also gonna be reusing the black hardware from the top drawer as well. And I'm gonna just spray paint that. I do like these square pieces of hardware, and I was actually going to keep these for maybe another project and use some other gold that I have, but the gold ones that I have won't match with the gold spray paint that I need to use for these. So I'm just gonna end up using the same hardware. So when I am using this spray paint, I just go in short coats and I don't try to just like all in one spot. You always want to be moving your can because if you don't, then you're gonna get drips and that's no fun. So I'm using vintage gold. I got this at Menards. You can get it on Amazon. I'll link it down below. Because it was black before, I will probably need to do 2, maybe even 3 coats of paint to cover up all that black. Try to get all the angles. And then we let that dry. And then once we come back and it's dry, I can kind of turn it and maneuver it around so that I can make sure to cover all of the black spots. Okay, I am going to sand down, just light sanding to get any brush strokes or any unevenness away from the top and the sides and the drawer. And then I'm gonna apply the top coat. You really wanna make sure you don't go too hard because it will take the paint off with it if you do, especially on the corners and things like that. So just go real easy, real slow. And this is a high grit sandpaper, about 120 to 150. And it's like a finishing sandpaper. For the top coat, I'm gonna be using the Chippy Barnes in a satin finish. So it's gonna be like a tiny bit glossy, but nothing too crazy. And then, of course, I always apply my top coat with a foam brush, and that just makes me be able to have the most control over my top coat, in my opinion. You can use a brush too, that's no problem. This is just a personal preference. When you're doing a top coat, you always want to go with the grain and go in the same direction. That way, if you can see any strokes, they're all going in the same direction. So in this case, I'm going up and down, just like the side is long and tall. I'm going up and down in tall strokes. All right, top coat's all finished here, and this is basically done. We just gotta let that top coat dry and finish up the hardware and assemble the rest of the dresser. Okay, let's put these drawers in and see what it's kind of starting to look like. Two, three, and then gold hardware, and it'll be finished. It's coming out really nice. This one was a pretty quick flip too. I've only been working on it for about 3 hours, so I'd say 4 hours and done. All right, so I kind of forgot to mention there's actually a mirror that goes along with this piece. I'm gonna stage it with the mirror, and then I'm gonna stage it without the mirror because I'm just kind of torn on whether or not I think it looks good with it. This is the only part of the mirror that really needs to change. And I think that I decided I'm gonna paint it gold to kind of go along with the hardware and kind of give it an accent color. So I am just going to cover up the mirror part so that it doesn't get any paint on it. Okay, Okay, now we let everything dry. Okay, that's gonna be the last coat of gold, and then I'm gonna put the top coat spray paint on it, and then these will be ready to attach. Okay, the gold has had a chance to dry for a while, so I'm gonna use a matte clear spray paint to just do a little quick top coat, protecting it from any wear and tear. Okay, now that's gotta dry, and then we finally get to attach them. All right, this hardware has had enough time to dry, so I am going to go ahead and attach it on there and see how it turns out. Alrighty, let's check it out. It's looking good. Now we've just got to get the mirror on there. Okay, I'll take this tape off too. Kind of came like that, so. I'm gonna get all the sticky residue off, clean with Windex real fast, and then we'll get to attach it. All right, let's get this bad boy attached. One more quick spray. All right, the mirror is attached. The mirror is cleaned. And I'm gonna carefully take this towel off just so I can see the entire thing. I'm gonna be honest, this isn't my favorite piece that I've ever done. The gold, I like gold, but I just think that this specific gold wasn't the right choice. Not to say that the piece doesn't look good though. I definitely think the mirror could be on it or could not be on it. It's pretty big. We're gonna stage it with the mirror and without the mirror. Take a look. So overall, this project took me about 4 hours in total over time. That's not including things like drying time and things like that. It's really only including the work time that I actually did. For material cost of this dresser, I had all of the materials that I used. I didn't go out and purchase anything. I've had this paint for months now, and I bought it so long ago, and so I really have a hard time sharing with you guys how much money I actually spent on the materials I used. At one time, I spent a certain amount on the paint, but again, this paint lasts for multiple projects. It's not just a one and done for most paints. So I'm gonna give an estimated cost at about $10 of paint and other materials. So all in all, I am in at $54 on this project, and I'm planning to list it at probably around $200 onto Facebook Marketplace. And I think the mirror definitely adds value, so I might even go up to $225, $250. I really never know until I'm actually posting the number on there. But we're gonna get it listed on Facebook Marketplace, as well as all of the Facebook buy-sell trade groups that I'm a part of, because that reaches more and more people. So make sure you're a part of those in your area as well. Let's go get it posted. This baby is getting picked up today. I ended up listing it on Facebook Marketplace for $250 and then lowering it a couple of days later. And someone reached out to me and asked if I would take $200. And I had it listed at $225 at that point, and I wanted to meet in the middle, but they said their budget was $200. And since they were the only one who had reached out to me about this dresser for the past 5 days, I said, sure, why not? I want to get it out of here. So they are coming to pick it up today. I am actually just going to get ready a little care package for them. I'm working on getting some more things for my care package, but right now all I have is a little container that is going to hold some extra paint. So just in case this were to ever get chipped or damaged at all, and it's a little bit, but a little bit goes a long way. So I am going to name this on the top with the name of the paint. So it's Magnolia White. And then I'm gonna take some of the paint that I used, pouring a tiny bit on there. Whew. So there we go. A little paint sample, extra little piece of, just to kind of show them that I care and thank them for purchasing this dresser from me. Again, I'm working on getting cards and care instructions and things like that, but this is the first step toward getting all of that fulfilled as well. So just a quick summary of the numbers again. I spent $44 on this dresser and then about $10 in material, which brings me to $54 in, and then I'm selling it for $200. So that gives me a total profit of $146 going straight toward my student loan debt. So I hope you guys enjoyed this new style of dresser flip that I did. I really was pleased with how the raw wood drawers came out. I love doing raw wood. I love the look of it. Again, like I had said in the beginning, this wasn't really my favorite look. I think it's the gold. Maybe next time I would change the color gold that I would use, but overall, this was a fun dresser to make over and to flip, and I'm excited to see it going away to its new home. So if you liked what you saw today, be sure to get subscribed down below and continue following along on our journey of paying down my student loan debt and flipping furniture. Also, head over to Instagram and follow my account over there. You'll be able to see tons of behind the scenes things, when things get sold, and different things like that when I go on thrifting trips, marketplace finds, and so on and so on. Get subscribed, and I'll see you on the flip side.